Alright, this is not so much a rant and random thoughts video as it is a channel update or status of the channel and a few little housekeeping things that I should be going over. Now, first off, if you're watching this over at YouTube, you're watching this about a week after everyone over at BitChute has seen it and my patrons over at Patreon. The reason for that is I was put into YouTube jail last week. What the hell was it? Like around the 13th or something around that is when I got the notice that I was giving a second strike for the response to Biden's declaration of war video. Now, if you're looking for it, you want to link to it and that stuff, you can still find it over at the backup channel over at BitChute. Their reasoning, YouTube said, is that video incites violence. I appealed it and I pointed out that how come my video gets taken down when you literally have videos on YouTube promoting violence against people that have a different ideology or a different skin color, and that these videos that are being put out on this stuff is put out by members of BLM, members of Antifa, and also you have literal calls for violence, calls for attacks and murders by members of Congress. How come those videos are allowed to be up, but my video where I tell people twice not to do anything stupid, not to do anything illegal, but that they should defend themselves when they are attacked, when the left comes after them again? Why is that considered violence, but that other stuff from Antifa accounts, from BLM accounts, from members of Congress like Anti-Maxine out in California, and Skeletor Pelosi in California, Schumer out of New York, and many others, where they literally call for attacking people and murdering people? Why is that allowed to be up, but mine is taken down? Well, they denied my appeal. They said my video clearly incited violence and I need to follow the guidelines. If I get caught again, the channel's gone. So if you're watching this over at YouTube, I'm telling you once again, go into the description of this video or any of my videos that are posted on here. There will be a link in there to the BitChute channel, my backup channel. Everything I load up at YouTube is also loaded up over at BitChute. Bookmark that. Hell, sub over at BitChute. Doesn't matter. But if you notice I do not post anything for a week or the channel disappears off of YouTube, go over to BitChute. It's going to be over there. And you will find out even faster if something comes to this channel by becoming one of my patrons over at Patreon. I set it so that the minimum a person can sign up for is $1 a month, like 3 cents a day. If you're over there, you will get the notices, when YouTube or someone tries screwing with me, I put it over there. I also post over there when I come across groups that are trying to dox me. I've had a neo-Nazi try doxing me a couple years ago. I posted his stuff on Patreon, the link and everything on this asshole trying to do it. And I also notified some others that their names were mentioned on his hit list that they were trying to track down, and notified them. Gave them the link also, and they were wondering what the whole situation was going on, why this neo-Nazi sack of crap was after them. I also had here last year what the hell was it? Something like the Socialist Rifle Organization or Socialist Revolution Army, something like that. Their abbreviation was SRA. They were trying to dox me also. Now, since then, I've been mentioned in an article by something called the Transparency Project, where they talk about I and other YouTube patriots should be pulled down because we're inciting violence. Me specifically, they cited me as disinformation concerning the war in Ukraine, when I was actually citing and posting the links and that stuff to what was happening in Ukraine, which was going counter to what the mainstream media was saying. So they said I was putting out disinformation and I should be pulled down because of that. Well, my patrons find out all this stuff before anyone else does, because when I find it, I post it over there. I also post other articles and videos I come across that I think could be useful, sometimes humorous, whatever it happens to be at the time. So come over to Patreon if you like the channel. Kick me $1 or $2 or 10 or whatever you so choose. It can be a symbolic one. I believe you can put in symbolics like 5.56 or 7.62. I'm not sure. I haven't tried it. I think you can do that. If not, it's whole dollar amounts. And as I said, $1 is the minimum I have it set for. And the intent is that money gets used to purchase training aids and supplies that I and others can use should something go stupid here in this country. It has happened, especially in 2020 and this year, because of inflation and stupid shit. I have had to use some of that money to pay for fuel for me to get to work or to cover some of my bills that month until my next paycheck shows up. But most of that money is tapped or set aside for, or try to set it aside for, purchasing supplies, in particular food and medical. Those are two areas everyone should be stocking up on, and that does not bring up as many red flags, especially now. So, if someone does become my patron, they're there for less than a month. I've seen this happen a few times. People will become my patron for about a week or 2 weeks. They don't even donate that $1 for the month. They cancel their subscription. Those people do get banned. I put on a permanent ban on them so they can never come back and become a patron or comment on anything I post on Patreon. Because I usually figure people that are doing that, they're just dipping in, trying to catch me posting something that's illegal so they can get me in trouble. So they just, boom, they're automatically out of there. Should also mention this, because there's some hinky shit that's been going on with this. If anyone posts comments on YouTube or BitChute or Patreon that are derogatory, especially you're attacking someone else, not just me, but someone else in the comments, that has happened a few times. I've had fights in there I've had to break up. I've also had people coming in there posting anti-Semitic comments, racist comments, that type of stuff. You automatically get banned. You come in there and you start insulting me, you get banned. All right, I'm not going to put up with it. You're out of there. Because it'd be way too easy if I let that stuff stay on there. It'd be way too easy for some type of agency, a 3-letter agency, to come in, post a bunch of anti-Semitic links and crap inside the comments. If I did not scrub it, then that platform could use those comments as basis for banning the channel. Regardless of what that video actually says, they'll go off what's in that comments and say that this channel is a safe haven for racist and illegal activity. So I have to go through, I have to pull this stuff down, I have to drop the ban hammer on those people as fast as I find them. Now, one interesting thing on that, I had one little prick over at BitChute who over this last weekend, let's see, it's the 19th today, so starting the 17th, posted a comment on there, and a real jackass way of doing it, and I know this little prick's a millennial. He posted in there, no disrespect, but you boomers are the problem. No disrespect, we're the ones that are going to have to clean up all the stuff you boomers screwed up in the world. No disrespect, but you boomers need to just shut up, go to the nursing home, eat your oatmeal, and die. And just put on a diatribe on that. So I banned the little son of a bitch. And he came back a few hours later, created a different account, posted in there about, you know, oh, you think you're such a big man because you go through, you ban people who post comments that you don't like, boomer, instead of actually interacting with them and talking with them. Well, I banned the troll again over on BitChute. So then what he did, the little prick went over to YouTube and tried posting similar comments over there. Same thing, pointing out, you know, boomer, you banned me over on BitChute. You know, this shows that you're not it for free speech because you won't allow my comments to stay up. And then he went on a thing again attacking those of us that he keeps calling boomers. Once again, ban the little prick. If he keeps making new accounts, posting more comments, he's going to get banned. Oh yeah, the little son of a bitch came back this morning. So now, fourth time, and this fourth one is over at BitChute. He created a account Sunday night, called it SecurityGuy42, but he changed the spelling a little bit. He did not capitalize the G, and I think he put in a space between the Y and the 42. And then he started posting derogatory comments again, I know on my videos, and I don't know if he's done it other places too. Same type of garbage, you know, talking about stupid boomers need to die, you're the problem of the planet, you know, you need to be wiped out, you need to accept that communism or capitalism is the true evil of this world. So I flagged him, reported him to BitChute. I sent up a report to BitChute telling him that this person has created a channel with a name similar to mine and is deliberately posting derogatory comments on videos. So we'll see if BitChute will get around to banning him doing that. I do not know how many different channels he was posting comments on. I know he was doing it on mine. So, and I went through, banned him once again, and pulled down his comments. So I got a little leftist mama's boy basement dweller who's in a real uproar because I won't allow him to insult me in public. And I keep banning him. So he'll probably come back a few more times, and I'll just keep banning him every time he does. So it's kind of like whack-a-mole, but the mallet I use is typically a 8-pound maul, not just a little rubber mallet. So had that going on. It's been interesting. I have that every so often. I get a little prick like that that keeps posting comments, changes names of his channel, starts new accounts and that stuff so you can keep posting derogatory shit. Now, for if that little asswipe happens to be watching right now and he's getting all pissed off, he's getting into a hissy fit, I'll point out to you, you little millennial sack of shit, that the only people that use the boomer term is dumbass left-leaning millennials who typically have a Marxist or socialist bent. You may call yourselves an anarchist, you're a fucking socialist because of what your goals are politically. The death of capitalism, you know, bane of the whole world, workers of the world unite, you know, that's straight out of communism. And I want to point out, I'm not a fucking boomer. Now, if you have half a goddamn brain, you should be aware. Baby boomers were born from World War II up until the early 1960s. This is the generation that is the children of the generation that fought World War II. I am what is referred to as a Gen Xer. I am a child of actual baby boomers. My generation is the generation that fought Iraq twice, went into Somalia, went into Bosnia, went into Haiti, went into Afghanistan, and some of us fought in Syria also. I personally didn't. I was out by that time. So, we fought a considerable number of wars and a considerable number of humanitarian operations done under the United Nations over the past 30-some years. So, get it right, I'm not a boomer, I'm a Gen Xer. If I'm anything, I'm part of D Generation X. Look it up. You'll understand it. So get ready to suck it! Another little reference for you to learn. Now, some stuff with the channel here. I was talking with Ron Stryker. Potentially, by the time you see this video, we will have already done a live stream. We're talking about potentially doing one related to the censorship that's going on. I've told Ron I would like to see some of the others who have gotten strikes recently to come in and talk about how YouTube has been censoring free speech very heavily. They're getting rid of anyone that says anything other than, stand up after getting knocked down, back up a few more spaces and draw a new line in the sand. You should understand the reference. So I got my strike, my second one here, for the response to Biden's declaration of war. My first strike was a few weeks ago for my last Rant and Random Thoughts video. I know that Kaz is currently in YouTube jail, and he was taken down because of a video from 2 years ago talking about the results of the election. I won't go beyond that. And I think Vaughn at Backcountry Preps had received a strike over the past couple months also for an older video. And I can't think of how many others and who else, but I know other channels have been getting strikes like this also, where they're literally going back in the past, looking at videos from years ago that were perfectly fine then, but now it upsets someone's sensitivities. So they're putting strikes on the channel now for that video from how many years ago. So the community guidelines over at YouTube are so goddamn murky because they are not uniformly enforced. They seem to have one set of guidelines for leftist leaning channels where you can literally post videos such as dick or dildo with a guy getting something rammed up his rear end and he has to guess what it is without seeing it. Or they can post videos talking about how children should do certain acts with adults that technically are illegal. That type of stuff is allowed to be up, is considered free speech. But the stuff we talk about is violent content, encouraging illegal activity, and gets taken down. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being part of a round table where we discuss this type of crap that's going on. I really wouldn't. So, now, also, because of the change in the political atmosphere in this country right now, we are seeing at least every other day more calls for violence against conservatives, against the MAGA supporters, against patriots. These are comments from the president, from the vice president, from members of Congress, from members of the media. You know, it's just high-profile person after person after person. The White House press secretary, who was a diversity hire because she was an immigrant, she's black and she's lesbian, she's saying these comments too in press conferences and then denying that she literally just said that violence should be committed against anyone who believes differently than them. The focus of the channel will change a little bit. You'll notice it in the videos that I'm posting, okay? I'm going to start filtering in some videos that I wouldn't do before because it was one of those things that I was kind of questionable on, you know, could this be okay or might it be crossing the line? I'm going to start posting some more of that stuff. Things like the historic ordnance videos, if you're looking for those, you remember some from the past that aren't here anymore, go over to BitChute, they're loaded in there. You will find them in the list in there, and potentially once I get some more ink from my printer because it ran out, so I can print out color photos of what I want to talk about in some videos, there's going to be some other ones coming up here soon, which will not likely be over at YouTube, but will be over at BitChute. Look for them over there. This right here, I'm considering doing a video on possibly this week. This bag is a demo bag or demolitions bag. This is what we carried for decades with all of our tools in it for handling demolitions. So I'm probably going to go through, do a video on this because I have a complete demo kit. I have had to do some substitutions to some of the tools in it because of the particular item it's asking for in the old hand receipt that we used up until, when did we change the demo bags? 2008, 2009. So I'm probably going to be doing a video on that, what tools go inside, explain a little bit on what the tools are, what they're used for. So I just have to go through, find one of the old hand receipts that I know I have in my archives to make sure I have the correct contents in there and the correct amounts. So there will also be more videos on demolitions basics, like I hinted at here with the demo clip video. I'm going to go through, I'm going to start doing some more videos on that stuff. This is an area I've been avoiding because it could be interpreted as going over the line, but I'm looking at it as there are actual U.S. military old training videos on demolitions basics that you can find on YouTube. So, you know, if it's okay for the actual training videos on the stuff to be there, then maybe it's okay if I do some on it. And, you know, teaching some of the tricks that I've learned over the years that I was taught when I was a new private, that I taught my soldiers when I became a team leader and a squad leader, and that I used to put in training schedules when I was an operations sergeant. And yeah, I did a lot of stuff in the military. I had a lot of different positions while I was in. So I'll try knocking out some more engineer specific videos. Some of them will be at BitChute only. Others will be loaded to both platforms. So, what else? Oh, I need to do a shout out here and a thank you to a new subscriber. His channel name is Risky Krisky. His channel has about 10,000 subs. He apparently is also a patriot-oriented channel. I have not watched his videos yet. I've just scanned the list and looked at his community section a little bit. He's kicking me some subs. Thank you for doing that. And I have noticed people coming across and posting that they were sent over by him to sub and that stuff, and they're glad for finding my channel. Someone made the comment that they watched my older coming Civil War videos and martial law videos talking about they're dark, they're not sugar-coated. That's the way combat is. Okay, combat is not like you see in the movies. It's not quick, done, over with. You go back to base, have a hot shower, have a hot meal, you know, sit back, play the Xbox, and then write a letter home while you jerk off. Okay? Combat, it fucks with your head big time. Okay? It's, even when you're done with it, you're not done with it psychologically. Okay? And you're not guaranteed to come back to a base with a warm shower, you know, nice cushy bed and a hot meal. Okay? You could potentially go from combat into just laying back in a water-soaked muddy trench, reloading magazines for the next attack. Okay? It is brutal. It is dirty. And it will give you nightmares. Okay? And these nightmares do not go away. You can get counseling for it to help you with it. But it's always there, and you just have to learn to deal with it on your own as best you can. But they're always going to be there. You know, they don't go away. So you do what you can to avoid it, but they have a tendency to pop up when you least want them to. So, as one person commented, the stuff I make is not sugar-coated. I do that for a reason, because if you really realize what is coming, you are going to be cautious, okay? Because it's not like the movies. All right? It is not like the movies. So, and it will not leave you forever. You're going to be stuck with it, and you just try to learn to deal with it. That's all you can do, you know. You try not to remember the things that happen, but sometimes they just come back no matter what you do. It's part of why I don't talk about certain things also. So, yeah. But, yeah, you won't find any sugar coating over here. I try to give you the information and hopefully give you an idea of what to expect. Hopefully. Without going into too much details. Because if you go into too much, you're just going to end up with nightmares, and then you're going to tune out. You're not going to want to learn anymore. But one person asked over on Patreon, I suppose I should kick this out now. What can someone do who never served, has no military training? What can they do to learn to cope with potentially doing bad things to bad people? Well, I'll just say this. There's a reason why the U.S. military trains the way they do. They get you to disassociate that your enemy is another human being. You need to, that's one way. Another way, at least for me, was always, if I don't do this, if I don't pull that trigger, then that threat could potentially hurt one of my people, or if it's, you know, civil war or anything here in the United States, could hurt one of my loved ones. That's one way to look at it, and that actually makes it easier. Doesn't make it real easy, it just takes a little bit of the edge down, not by much. But that's one way to look at it. He also asked about what about night combat when you're trying to defend a survival retreat, you don't have night vision. You have 2 eyeballs, and you can see at night. Okay, the trick is, do not look directly at something. There actually is, or at least used to be, a military task in the Common Task Manual for identifying targets at night without night vision. And you don't focus right at the target directly. You look to the side, below it, or above it. And then the way your eye is constructed, you will see what that target is actually doing. I've done it. It is effective. It does work. It's really weird. But you do got to kind of train your mind to do that when you're at night. Don't look directly at something. Look a little bit away from it, and you will be looking directly at it. You will see it on the corner of your eye, the side, the top, the bottom, and you can see more clearly what it's doing. It has to do with the rods and cones in the eye, and I don't have the manual with me to give a better explanation as to what does what on that. Plus there's also things like illumination flares, and yes, you can get them even in a civilian world. You can set up fire pots, you know, out beyond your perimeter, something that's hidden, you know, a little batch of gasoline and that type of stuff. You got it put in an area where it's not necessarily going to cause a big flame around that area. You won't set your forest on fire. You ignite that magnesium flare or that little can of gas, whatever it is, causes a flame, lights up and backlights anyone that's approaching, that's attacking, so that you can see their dark silhouette and you can get fire in on them. That's actually an old trick. Those are the main ones that I remember. And then there's always, wherever you see a muzzle flash, assume that to the right of it or to the left of it, as you're looking at it, it should be to your right of that muzzle flash is likely where the target is located. So if you see a muzzle flash, put a couple rounds, you know, just a fraction to the right of it, and you should be hitting that person in the upper body or the face, as long as they were not smart enough to fire and move immediately, or are behind cover covering that part. So I would first put a couple rounds to the right, and then maybe one directly above or one directly below. If the person is still shooting after you do that, then try putting a couple rounds to the immediate left of that muzzle flash, because maybe it's a left-handed person. So maybe that'll give you some things to think about and train about for defending your survival retreat. That's the direction this person was asking about. A subscriber over at YouTube, I'm not going to give his channel name or name, asked me about if I could cover upgrades to cars that was done by the IRA during the Troubles. No, I can't. That is something that if I do a video on that I know that's crossing the line, and YouTube will take down the channel completely. I will be basically Alex Jones'd. You know, the channel will be there 1 minute, the next minute it's just completely gone. Doesn't matter if I don't even have an active strike, the channel will just be terminated completely. Are there other things I could cover potentially? Yeah, but when I do the historic ordnance videos, I really got to watch what I do And I usually leave out one, maybe two little steps or things in it, so that someone who's coming in blind doesn't know anything about what they're doing, like a stupid Antifa member. It's not going to work. But if someone has experience in demolitions and explosives and ordnance, they would be able to figure out what that one step or two steps are that I skipped. Exception to that would be historic ordnance when I talk about the landmines, like the TM62 series mines, the US mines, like the M15, M19, M21, M14, M16. I have not done Claymore. I did do an advanced techniques videos on Claymores a couple years ago. That is, I think, posted over at BitChute. I think. It might be just a patrons only one that you'd have to really, really dig back in my archive to find. But I know I did an advanced one on Claymores. I did not do a Claymore specific video because Brent0331 did a really good video on that. And I think that's where people should look. Could I potentially do a video in the future on the basic training task on the Claymore? I potentially could. You know, I might throw it in there. But, you know, it'll be just basic training level. If you want to learn more on that, well, that would be in the advanced techniques video that I did, or the stuff that Brent0331 did in his video on the Claymores. So, 36 minutes. Okay, I can't think of anything else to throw in here. I've covered most of the stuff I wanted to talk about. Reiterate once again, if you're over at YouTube, bookmark the channel over at BitChute, because if you see I don't post for over a week, it's probably a strike. If you come in and it says the channel does not exist, you know, then just shift right over to BitChute, watch the videos over there. If you want to find out what's going on in real time, go over to Patreon. I do try my best to do videos on requests from my patrons. I know it doesn't always happen, but I do my best on that. The last time I asked for ideas, dumbass me forgot to write them all down. Because I had some good ones, good suggestions over on YouTube, some good suggestions over at Patreon. I forgot to write them all down. There are a couple videos that I remember people wanted to see. One of them will be this week. I just have to finish writing it out in a coherent order, and then I can do it. That's supposed to be on physical fitness. That was a request from Sparta 270, I believe it was. That one should be coming out this week. There was also a request on handling prisoners. That was already in the pipe. I and Combat Cameraman were already wargaming how we should do that video. That potentially will be coming up this week if it works out in his schedule. His schedule got a little bit more complicated about a month or two ago, and that has affected when we can do videos, and also the particular videos we do, because certain ones take a little bit more time. To give you guys an idea on how videos work, okay, I come up with an idea or I get a suggestion and I start researching it to gain a little bit more information beyond what I already know. I then talk it over with Combat Cameraman and we try to figure out, well, how can we do this? Should we do it as just a whiteboard video, or should we do it as a first person video, a situational video, like I did with the Russian mine laying techniques, the tribunal, militia warning channel, and after action review video, and there's a few others we did where we try to put the person watching it in the scene. You're part of it. like you're actually there at the event participating, a first person. We do like doing those, but those take a bit longer because how those end up working, we write it up, we talk it through, decide what we want to do with the camera, what props do we need to assist with that video, like, you know, do we need training grenades, do we need magazines, do we need demo training aids, you know, what do we need to go with the video, and then we do a couple walkthroughs. He gets the camera set up and he just follows with the camera to try to determine, okay, it should be pointing here at this moment and here at this moment, that type of thing. We walk it through. I do the talk through also, what should I say in that video, and then usually we end up with, well, we should change it a little bit. I should mention this, I forgot to, or I don't need to mention that, so strike that. And then after we do a couple walkthroughs, then we try recording it, but even we end up doing it like 2 or 3, sometimes 6 times where we try recording it, but it isn't up to par, isn't up to what we expected. And then we end up doing it again, making changes until we get it close to what we envisioned for that video. You know, those first person ones take a lot of coordination, a lot of planning. I do not have video editing. We have to do everything in a single take from start to finish. I cannot cut and add stuff in and then, you know, pick up there on it at another time. It must be from start to finish all the way through one continuous shot. And that is considerably hard to do when you're doing the first persons. Someone asked over on Patreon about a video on malicious supply activities. That one is in the works. We are looking at getting sufficient training aids and the right spot to do it in to make sure that it looks good enough. And I'm also trying to do some research also on supplying ammunition and that stuff in the field so that I can mention some recommendations on that stuff too. I want to do that one as a first person, and that one might be in about a week or 2. I don't know. It'll depend on weather and, like I said, combat cameraman schedule. So that should be it. Okay, now for all my engineer brothers, and I should mention this. Someone asked once again, what's the camel pattern? This happens on a regular basis. Everyone asks about the camel pattern on the smock. This is a USGI nighttime desert parka. Now, this camouflage pattern was designed in the 1980s. It was designed for defeating the Soviet night vision technology at that time. The grid pattern on here was thought that it would mess up with their night vision, where it essentially would blur the person out and potentially blur them into the background behind them. This camouflage pattern was actually designed for use in Europe, from my understanding, where it would blend into the background of the woods, hence why it's green. But when the first Gulf War came around, we knew that the Iraqis were using Soviet night vision, so we started sending some of this to the troops that were going to be going into Iraq to try to assist them in night operations. Now, night vision has improved considerably since this stuff was approved for U.S. military use, so it is no longer issued. You can find it on the surplus market, but it is getting a lot harder to find. I used to use this parka when I did OP4 operations. I would throw this on, especially at night, to try to blend in a bit better, and obviously it was different than what we were wearing at the time. It was different than the DCUs we were using, or the BDUs that we were using, or the later ACUs, the stupid gray shit. So, is it a pattern I would recommend? That's up to you. You know, if you want to find out what pattern works the best for your area, go check out Brent0331. Great channel. I recommend him for if you're trying to pick out your camouflage. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember, essayons.